If everything in your day feels urgent but somehow nothing important ever moves forward, this video is for you. Because that feeling, that constant pressure without progress, is not a motivation problem, it's a signal. Most people think urgency means importance, but in an overwhelmed brain, urgency is often just noise, and the more noise you respond to, the less capacity you have for real work. In this video, I'm going to show you why your brain keeps tagging everything as urgent, how urgency quietly hijacks focus and decision making, and how to use urgency as information instead of obeying it. This isn't about doing more, it's about reclaiming clarity. So let's start with something subtle. Urgency doesn't usually arrive as panic. It arrives as pressure, a feeling that you should reply now, you should check something, you shouldn't slow down, you'll fall behind if you stop. And because that pressure feels uncomfortable, your brain treats it as a threat, so it reacts. Emails, messages, minor tasks, tweaks, checking, adjusting, reorganizing. You stay busy, but you don't move. And this is not a character flaw. This is what an overloaded nervous system does when it loses hierarchy. When your brain can't tell what truly matters, it defaults to what feels most immediate. There's a well-documented cognitive bias called the mere urgency effect, but here's the plain English version. When your brain is overloaded, it mistakes time pressure for importance. So a task with a countdown feels more compelling than a task with meaning. Not because it matters more, but because it creates relief when it's cleared. Urgent tasks promise immediate reduction of discomfort. Important work usually doesn't. Important work is ambiguous. It has no instant payoff. It carries emotional weight and it requires sustained focus. So under load, your brain avoids it. Not because you don't care, but because it's trying to regulate stress. Here's the key idea from Pillar 2 of the Momentum Reset method. Overwhelm collapses priority. When cognitive load gets too high, working memory shrinks, decision quality drops, emotional reactivity increases. Your brain loses the ability to hold long-term goals, to hold sequencing, to understand trade-offs. So everything flattens into the same category. And when everything feels equal, it's the loudest thing that wins. That's why you can spend an entire day responding and still feel like you've achieved nothing. You weren't lazy, you were overloaded. Another invisible driver here is open loops. Every unfinished task, unresolved decision, or vague obligation runs as background mental noise. Your brain keeps scanning. Don't forget this. You still need to do that. What about that thing? That constant scanning creates low-grade urgency, not because anything is particularly on fire, but because nothing is contained. This is why long to-do lists increase anxiety. Planning can feel exhausting. Even rest feels uneasy. Your system never fully stands down. This is where most advice completely misses the mark. People will say, just prioritise, just focus on what matters, just be disciplined. But prioritization is a high-level cognitive skill, and overload directly impairs it. It's like telling someone with a flooded engine to just accelerate harder. What you actually need is fewer open loops, less decision friction, clearer containers, before prioritization can even work. In the Momentum Reset method, we treat urgency as data, not instruction. Here's the core reframe. Urgency is not a command. It's a signal asking for interpretation. Most urgency falls into 4 buckets. True urgency, real deadlines, real consequences. Manufactured urgency, created by poor planning or defaults. Emotional urgency, driven by guilt, anxiety, or avoidance. Social urgency, other people's pressure leaking into our system. When everything feels urgent, it's usually categories 2 and 4 doing the shouting. It's not category 1. Now layer in decision fatigue. Every small choice costs energy. What to work on, where to start, how to respond, whether to switch. By midday, your brain is depleted, so it defaults to the easiest task, the clearest task, the task that removes discomfort the fastest, which again is urgency, not importance. This is why people feel busy but behind. There's also a dopamine angle here. Reactive tasks, messages, notifications, small fixes, they close loops quickly. Completion equals relief. Deep work doesn't close loops fast, it opens them before it closes them. So under stress, your brain chooses the faster relief. That's not weakness, that's neurobiology. Here's the stabilizing shift from pillar 2. Instead of asking what's most urgent, you ask what's reducing load versus increasing it. So some tasks remove mental weight when they're done, others just create more noise. Progress comes from closing the former first. This is why one clear decision can calm an entire day. One finished loop can restore focus. One protected block can change momentum. Here's a simple reset you can try immediately. When everything feels urgent, pause and ask, if I only completed one thing today that would lower overall pressure, what would it be? Not what moves the needle most, not what looks impressive, what reduces background noise. Then shrink it, not work on the project, rather outline one section, clarify the next step, and make one decision. This restores hierarchy, and hierarchy restores calm. Momentum doesn't come from intensity, it comes from relief. When your brain experiences, I handled that, I closed that, I made that safe, it regains trust, and trust is what allows focus to return. This is why overwhelm must be addressed before productivity techniques. If this video resonated, what I want you to take with you is this: urgency is not your enemy, your nervous system is not broken, overwhelm is a signal, not a failure. In the next videos in this series, we'll unpack how false urgency builds without you noticing, why to-do lists often amplify pressure, and how to rebuild clarity without forcing focus. So if that sounds something that would be interesting, please subscribe to the channel. And if you want a structured way to apply this, the Momentum Reset method walks you through it step by step. There's a link in the description. But for now, just notice what feels urgent and ask what it's trying to tell you.